show. Today's guest is AlDhabi AlMheiri, the youngest entrepreneur and publisher, the founder of Rainbow Chimney. She is all about introducing kids to the joy of reading. We are curious to learn more and more about her and her passion for reading. Welcome, AlDhabi, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for joining.
You're welcome. I hope I enjoyed today's show.
You will. We hope you enjoy with us too.
I hope so.
Yes. So, did you skip school to be here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did?
It's okay to be honest. We've all done it a few times. Okay, so we want to jump right into understanding more about Rainbow Chimney. Can you tell us more about it?
So actually I started my business Rainbow Chimney when I was about 6 to 7 years old. Mm-hmm. I started it because we know that every business is a solution to a problem. So I had a problem and I made the solution by putting a box of toys, books and activities and giving it to my friends and family who always love to be in the electronics. So they wanted to open the box, obviously.
Of course.
So I told them, if you want to open the box, there is a condition. And they had to leave all of the electronics. So they did. And then I gave them the box and they opened it. Everybody took maybe a drawing or activity, a book or a toy. And I was in the car and then I was thinking very, very hardly.
Okay.
And I was like, something's in my head, but I don't know how to say. And then just before we arrived home, I was like, I have an idea. Why don't I make a business for children about books
and
activity? So I thought, well, not of course only books. We need to have a little bit of fun into it.
Of course.
So I decided to put like some activities, some toys, and most of the books I have today are actually cloth books, sensory books, coloring books, activity books, board books, and so many more.
That's so creative.
And it works for kids of all ages as well.
Yeah. So our ages are from 0 months until 13 years.
Wow. Yeah, that opens up a very wide range.
I mean, speaking of that, how does it feel like to have the title of the youngest entrepreneur? That's so big. Like, you got the business idea at the age of 7. How does it feel like to have the title?
Honestly, when I decided to get a Guinness World Record, it was for a specific idea. I loved reading and I wanted to spread that knowledge and love to the world. So I decided to maybe get a Guinness World Record. And so I did. And from that day on, now I don't know how many kids know me, but every time I go to anywhere public, maybe I go to a mall or somewhere in Dubai or Burj Khalifa, there has to be at least one kid who comes to me and says, "Are you AlDhabi AlMheiri?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
It's such a big achievement, especially for a kid and the youngest entrepreneur as well. I have a question for you. Why do you think it's important for kids to read?
I think it's important for their knowledge, for their skills, because most of the language that I use today is higher than my whole class, since I'm really into reading. And I started even talking at the age, I started saying random words at the age of 7 months.
Wow.
So by the age of 3, I started to read and I was able to talk fluently. I think it's a great achievement to spread this knowledge to the world. And I think that's what's very important, because I care for children's education. And I think there are lots of things that you can read about. I think one of my favorite things to read about, like type of book, probably comics. Because like there's a lot of pictures and I love I love the way they're saying it. It's really fun and interactive.
That is actually nice. You know, actually, I used to love comic books when I was like younger, but I was not an entrepreneur. So look at you. However, your slogan says introducing kids to the joy of reading. How do you think reading can bring enjoyment? Because like right now, everyone uses iPads, their phones, technology.
I think there are two ways to solve this problem. The first way is to read a normal book, maybe have a time limit of how long you read. Usually I read at home maybe 5 hours on the weekends. I mostly read at school in break times. Probably the whole break, 40 minutes, just reading. So I think the other solution is that there are some virtual books and it's actually augmented reality. So augmented reality is basically a book that combines the electronics and a book with it. So it's like a pop-up book, but from the iPad or iPhone or any electronic.
Yeah.
It basically, like, for example, maybe I have a dinosaur book and I think it's boring. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna go and scan it from the app, and then you're gonna have basically a whole new world to enjoy. We have like so many activities to do on these books. There are many coloring pages. You can enjoy it everywhere you go, like maybe in the car, or maybe even in a bus, or sometimes even in an airplane if you're lucky.
Wow, that's actually very smart. Genius.
Yeah. Speaking of technology and books, are you a fan of like holding a book and reading it, or are you a fan of holding a Kindle or like reading it off of your phone or your laptop?
I think because at school we use the iPads that they recently involved. So we usually would read on an app for like 1 hour or 40 minutes. But I think I would prefer sticking to history and like the normal book.
Hand holding a book.
You're an old soul. You are an old soul.
Yeah.
What is your favorite book? If you have one. It's hard to choose.
Many favorite books. Many. Most of one of my books are comics, but I think what I prefer for my favorite is probably Mary Poppins, because I think that was the first chapter book that I ever read, and it's still with me at home and I keep reading it. Another one is How to Become an Entrepreneur.
Wow.
So it's basically, there's like in the front cover, the minute I saw it, it catched my attention because it's like a banana and then there's like an arrow pointing down into like a bottle of juice. So that's basically how an entrepreneur works.
Right.
Because you're taking something and making it something new.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think you are inspiring all of us to become entrepreneurs at this point and have our own business. But you are, I would say, let me say, a genius. But regarding that, disregard that. Have you written a book? Would you write a book? And have you written a book?
Actually, I have written 2 books. I'm about to publish 4. And also, I have published for 52 children.
Wow. Your own work.
Yeah.
Wow.
And 21 of them is about the environment. And actually, all of those children have written about anything they want, but I have published it for them. Because I feel like a child deserves to follow their dreams or to spread their love and kindness to the world. I think it's really important.
Well, you are very kind for all of that. You know, you are inspiring, sorry, all of the young kids. What is like if let's say we are gonna since you're an entrepreneur and you got this idea at a very young age, what is one message that you would actually want to give out to young kids and future kids, future entrepreneur kids?
I think one message I would say to them is to start now. Because if you start from a young age, you'll learn so much more.
You're talking like a
And
very old entrepreneur. I feel like
Like you've had years of
Yes.
experience.
and also another thing is that I think our government and our wise leaders have already opened the doors to us. You don't even need to knock it.
100%.
So I think that you should just go ahead, follow your dreams. I think something that inspired me to write a book and become who I am today is probably someone that I met in Sharjah actually. It was my first time participating in Sharjah International Book Fair. And I met lots of people there and have many conversations. Let's say probably the whole day. Let's say 10 hours. Okay. So basically, at that time, we were going to the EPA, and there was basically a conference. And they basically were talking, and my mom had no idea about anything. And I remember she was writing notes about everything. And then my dad's like in the middle, and he's basically watching what's happening and trying to understand. And me, I'm sitting down, I'm like raising my hand. And my mom doesn't even know anything. So how am I supposed to raise my hand? So actually, there I met Sheikh Abdul. So I raised my hand, and she saw me. So she said, I think I see a little girl in the back raising her hand. Give her the microphone. So I took the microphone and I said, how can I be a publisher like you? Because I want to spread this joy to the world. So she replied, she said, come down to the stage. So she said she wanted basically to help me. So she announced that she gave me the title for the youngest publisher in the UAE. So from there, I was the youngest publisher in the UAE. But I was like, how am I supposed to be a publisher if I haven't written a book? So that day, the next day when I came back home, I was like, opening my journal, let's write a book.
Look at you.
So I wrote my first book. I had an idea, which is basically talking about how I started my business, Rainbow Chimney. I think it was a great time that I had there. And not to mention that actually also my siblings have Guinness World Records. And inshallah also my little brother, who's 1.5 years old, turning 2. His name is Khalifa. So I hope he does write a book and get a Guinness World Records. Like my siblings, Al-Maha and Saeed. Saeed is 5 years old and Al-Maha is 4 years old. Saeed has written 2 books and he has a Guinness World Record for the youngest publisher to write a bilingual, male publisher to write a book series. And the other one is the same thing but without series. I think it's really hard to remember sometimes.
It's okay.
Okay. My sister has got a Guinness World Record for the youngest female publisher to write a book series. And also same like my brother, also not series. So they've both written like 2 books. Saeed has 2 Guinness World Records. And I think Maha has 1 or 2 Guinness World Records.
MashaAllah.
Wow.
You guys are a family of scholars.
They are scholars, and Honestly, you're inspiring us, AlDhabi. You really are.
I hope so.
You really are. No,
Because
you
like
really are.
personally, I liked reading. I enjoy
Yeah.
reading, but it's so hard for me to sit and like read a book. Do you have any like words of wisdom or advice to encourage people to start reading?
I think the first thing that you can focus on is basically what you love to read or the type of books that you love to read. And while you're going into that, maybe you can read about how to learn about this topic or what is it about. There's basically for me 3 steps to get into like reading something maybe I don't like or maybe something that I'm not really interested to. Firstly, I would read about it, but like a kid's book or something interactive or fun. I'd usually write about a comic about it first. And then I would go and read something about something related about it and how it started in history maybe. And then I would go and read actually about the book that I used not to like. So now maybe I like it and maybe I want to start learning more about this topic.
That's so
I mean, honestly, that's amazing. You are an inspiration. You inspired me. You inspired Farah.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you would look at that camera and give one last message, how can people find you and how can people actually reach to Rainbow Chimney?
I think the best way to contact me, firstly, go to my website. You will be able to talk to me on WhatsApp. You could write me an email or tell me maybe what you're interested in. Or if you would like maybe to even have your own book, own box for children. And if you wanted to give it to your children. And I think the best idea is if you would like to talk to me. I usually get like millions and billions even maybe people come and
look at
tell
you,
me,
famous.
how can I write a book? And I'm telling them, take out of my pocket my business card. Here you go.
Okay.
Talk to me here. Tell me what you're thinking of. What do you want to write about? What are your ideas? What's in mind? I think that's basically what, if you want like to tell me something or want to maybe even inspire me or tell me maybe information. I think it's amazing, honestly, because usually I have many children coming to me and saying, can I take a photo with you? How can I write a book? Can we do this? Can we maybe we can see each other? And I'm like, sure, why not? So I think if you would like to talk to me, you can talk to me on my email, on WhatsApp, on my business. And I think something that is a good information for you if you want to become an entrepreneur. I think it's that you follow your dreams and trust yourself. Because actually when I was really, really small, I didn't trust myself in anything. I was like, I used to call my mom and I was like, I can't do this. Can you take it for me? I'm scared. But now I'm like,
no more.
Over that.
You changed the game.
Over that.
And you made something that a lot of people can, gain a lot of knowledge from.
Yes.
I feel like that's the most impressive part.
Yes, well, thank you so much for joining us, AlDhabi. We love that you inspired us and you inspired everyone.
You can expect a call from us as well.
Yes, you
we
will.
want to write books.
You'll never know. You'll never know. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Farah. This brings us to the end of our show. See you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Goodbye from me.
Bye.
Bye.